Hello and welcome. My name is Ken Wooten, a member of the product management team here at Device42, and in this video we'll be going over some of the major new features that were released with 1803. 1803 came out in October of 2022. Here are the 5 features that I'll be going over in this video. Affinity group timeline change details, Kubernetes visibility enhancements, IP and multiple device association, a new data building block for business application composition, as well as some improvements to the business app composition dashboard related to that new DBB. In addition, there are some other features that I won't be covering in this video. However, I encourage you to check out the release notes for 1803, and that will cover all these, as well as any bug fixes, security, stability improvements that we've done in that release as well. If you haven't seen our release notes before, you can find them on our website, device42.com. Just click on the blog at the very top right of the home page and just do a quick search for 18.03 or any release that you're interested in finding release notes for. Okay, let's jump into our first feature, and that is the Affinity group timeline details. So we've had for quite some time this timeline associated with affinity groups. You can see lines on the timeline below where individual changes in that affinity group have occurred. We've had the ability for some time to be able to click on the individual line on that timeline and see what the state of the affinity group was at that point. However, there wasn't much detail on what changed between before and after and so forth. So we now have the ability, once you hover over this line below, you'll see a summary of the changes. And then if you click the See Details button, it'll open up a window that shows all the changes that occurred. This is information that has been available in the system. You could get it via Docal in the past, but now we've added this to the UI, so you have easy access to exactly what is going on and what has changed in the history of that affinity group. So the next feature is Kubernetes visibility enhancements. So previously, we've had the ability to map out all of the resources within a Kubernetes cluster. So you could get a pretty good picture of what was going on in your Kubernetes application and all of the pods and nodes that were deployed within that. However, communication with resources and devices on the outside was not available. So that's what we've added in this feature. So we've connected the Kubernetes ingress rules to service ports and communication outside of that, and so now you can get a full picture of the dependencies and things that are dependent on resources within that Kubernetes cluster. Okay, now we'll look at multiple device and IP associations. So what we've added with this feature is the ability to track IP addresses that are assigned to more than one device. So this could be a typical scenario. We have a load balancer, some other failover situation where you've got the IP is assigned to multiple devices, for a good reason. What you're looking at here on the screen is a device details page. You can see there that there are 3 IP addresses assigned to this device. The third one down, if you look over on the far right, there's a shared column and has a green check mark next to it. So from the device page, that's how you see that there is a IP address that is currently shared between multiple devices. Now if we click over to the detail page for that IP address, you can see there that under devices that there are indeed 2 devices that are assigned to that single IP address. So that section will grow as many as you have associated with that IP address. Additionally, if you're looking at IP addresses in one of the grid lists, there's a column there for device. It now will be represented in a comma delimited list of all the devices that are associated with it. In addition to these changes, we've also added an auto clean rule that will help you to clean up old records. So I think by default it runs and cleans up any IP address associations that are more than 30 days old. So if you've just merely moved the IP address to another one over time, that will get corrected. Okay, so the last feature we're going to talk about is the new data building block called Business App Composition. If you're not familiar with data building blocks, I encourage you to look at the documentation. We have data building blocks in a number of other areas as well. But in a nutshell, it's what's called a materialized view. So it is a predefined view that connects together data from multiple sources. So it makes it much, much easier to retrieve data, report on data, and so forth. You're not having to do all of those connections within the database. The other advantage is performance. It's once a night we have a job that runs that essentially does the query, assembles all this together. So when you query that data from a data building block, it's going to come back much, much faster than if you were to build that query yourself. So to see the data building block, click on the little question mark in the top right of your app bar. Go down to Viewer Schema, and then click Data Dictionary. And this is going to give you a list that is really a mix of data building blocks and predefined tokens. The one that we're looking for here is in the top left. It's called Admin Business App Composition V2. If we click on this to expand it out, you'll see all of the fields related to business apps that this query returns. Compared to some of the other DBBs, it's a fairly short one, but again, very powerful from both an ease of use and a performance standpoint. So in addition to adding this DBB, we also updated the current business app composition dashboard, Insights Plus dashboard, in the system to use this DBB. So I'll navigate to that real quick and just show you how quickly this comes up. Using our demo data here, previously when we'd select this dashboard, it would take somewhere between 10, 15, sometimes 20 seconds to completely populate the dashboard. Now, as you see, it comes up almost instantaneously. So that's really an example of the power of these data building blocks and how you want to use them. Again, if you want some more information on how to utilize them, some of the other DBBs that we have available, just hit up our documentation. We will have additional ones coming out in the next couple of releases as well, and into the foreseeable future. But I encourage you to dig into that and really take advantage of those where that makes sense for you. All right, well, that's it for this video. Appreciate your time. And as I mentioned before, I encourage you to check out the release notes in our documentation for more information on these features, as well as some of the other ones that I did not get to in this video. Until next time, thanks.